The red sun was sinking behind jagged mountains on Tyrus Fur, painting the dusty plains in streaks of fire and shadow. Ethan adjusted the strap of his worn backpack and wiped the sweat from his brow. The planet was harsh, full of storms that could tear a rover apart in minutes, but he had a job to do. He was alone, as usual, mapping mineral deposits and sending back readings to the research team orbiting above. Most humans avoided planets like this. They were dangerous and unstable. But Ethan didn't mind danger. It made him feel alive. His sensors beeped suddenly, a small alert flashing on the handheld device. It was faint, a life signal that barely registered, but it was there. His heart skipped a beat. Life on Tyrus 4 was rare. Almost everything on this planet wanted to kill you, and the few creatures that survived were aggressive predators. He hesitated, glancing around the open plains. There was nothing, only windswept dust and rocks that jutted out like broken teeth. Still, the signal persisted, pulsing weakly. Ethan took a deep breath. He wasn't supposed to interfere with unknown species without authorization, but instinct pushed him forward. His boots crunched over the red gravel as he followed the signal. Hours passed and the sun dipped lower, turning the world a dull bloody orange. Then he saw it, a small figure lying among jagged rocks, barely moving. It was humanoid, but smaller and unlike any human he had seen. Its skin shimmered silver blue even under the fading light, and a thin streak of blood ran down its arm. The figure's breathing was shallow, almost imperceptible. Ethan knelt beside her. "Hey, it's okay. I'm here to help," he said softly, unsure if she could understand. She opened her large, luminous eyes and looked at him, fear clear in her gaze. She didn't speak, only whimpered, a sound like a soft chime in the wind. Her hair was like strands of silver, tangled and dirty, and her limbs trembled. Ethan could see that she was young, perhaps no older than a human teenager. He had no idea what she was, but leaving her would mean certain death. His mind made the decision before his mouth could. "I'm not leaving you here." He carefully lifted her into his arms. Her body was light, almost like she had no bones, but Ethan felt the chill radiating from her. The wind whipped around them and he hurried to his rover, shielding her from the worst of it. Inside the small cabin, he laid her gently on a cot and began examining her wounds. Cuts along her arms and legs, a deep scratch on her side, and bruises forming along her shoulders. He didn't recognize the physiology, but he knew enough first aid to stabilize her. Bandages from his medical kit wrapped around her injuries, and he gave her water from a clean bottle. The alien girl shivered, but gradually she began to relax. She observed him with wide eyes, tilting her head as he moved about the cabin, unpacking supplies and checking his scanner. Ethan noticed how quickly she seemed to absorb details, watching his every action with curiosity. He hummed a tune from Earth while preparing a simple meal of rehydrated rations. She mimicked the humming softly, a shaky imitation, and for the first time she seemed almost playful. He decided to call her Lyra. It was short, simple, and easy for him to remember. Over the next few days, they established a silent communication. Ethan used gestures, and Lyra responded with nods, shakes, and delicate hand signs. She couldn't speak his language, but they understood each other more than he expected. During the nights, she slept under a blanket he had fashioned from spare sheets, but her body glowed faintly, her silver blue skin pulsing with soft light, especially when she was scared or excited. Ethan found it mesmerizing, a living lantern in the darkness. Sometimes she would reach out a small hand and he would hold it, letting her know she was safe. Despite the calm, Ethan felt the weight of the situation pressing down. He didn't know her species, her culture, or her people. He only knew that if she stayed here too long, the planet would take her. The storms were unpredictable, and predators roamed the plains. Every decision he made was careful, calculated, but nothing could erase the fear that perhaps he was too late. Then one night, as the storm outside howled and rattled the thin metal walls of the rover, Ethan woke to find Lyra gone. His heart leapt, panic surging through him. No sounds, no movement, only the faint echo of wind in the cabin. He checked the cot and the storage compartments, empty. There were no footprints outside, no disturbance in the dust. Only one thing remained, a small carved stone pendant glowing faintly on the floor. It pulsed with energy, soft and steady as if it were alive. Ethan picked it up, turning it over in his hands, bewildered. He didn't sleep that night staring at the storm-lashed plains through the cabin window. Lyra had vanished without a trace, leaving only a token behind. He wondered if she had survived, if she had returned to her people, or if she was even real. The pendant's gentle glow offered little comfort, only questions. For days, Ethan focused on his work, though his mind kept drifting back to the girl. He repaired his rover, collected samples, and sent reports back to the orbiting ship. He tried to convince himself that he had done the right thing, and that the universe was too vast for one human to make a difference. But the emptiness in the cabin felt heavier than the red plains outside. Then the sensors on his wrist beeped again. Multiple life forms converging from the east. Ethan froze. The signals were strong, unmistakable, and approaching fast. His hand went to his blaster, heart hammering. The dust storm obscured the view, making the radar blips uncertain. He crouched behind a rock as the figures emerged. He couldn't believe what he saw. 7 tall figures, all women, moved with precise coordination, their spears glinting in the fading sunlight. Their skin shimmered silver blue like Lyra's, and their eyes were sharp and piercing. They carried themselves with the grace of hunters and the authority of leaders. The tallest, who seemed to lead them, stepped forward, her gaze locking on him. "You are the one," she said in broken English, her voice strong yet measured. "The human who touched the air." Ethan lowered his blaster, confusion and awe mixing in equal measure. I saved her? She's your heir?" The woman nodded, her expression solemn. "You saved our princess. Now we must repay the debt." The other women kneeled, forming a half-circle around him. Ethan's mind raced. He had never expected gratitude on this scale. He had acted out of instinct, out of compassion, and now an entire tribe of alien women was before him, acknowledging him as someone important, someone tied to their princess. He kept his voice steady, even as adrenaline coursed through him. "I don't know what you mean. I only did what anyone should do. I couldn't leave her there." The leader, who called herself Vashara, stepped closer. "She is Lyra. She is our princess. You saved her life. That is not a small thing here. You are bound to us now. You are Starbound Guardian, protector of the bloodline." Ethan's head spun. Starbound Guardian? Protector? These were titles, not casual names. He wasn't sure he wanted titles. He wasn't sure he wanted responsibilities that could put him in danger every day. But the determination in their eyes left him no room to refuse. They had come to him. They had sought him out. He was not alone anymore, whether he liked it or not. As the sun sank completely behind the mountains, the red plains darkened into deep shadows. Ethan looked at the glowing pendant in his hand, the small token left by Lyra, and realized that it was more than just a piece of carved stone. It was a connection, a promise, and perhaps a warning. His simple exploration mission had turned into something far greater, something that would change his life forever. The daughters of Tyrus, as they called themselves, were patient but unwavering. They didn't rush him, yet the weight of expectation pressed down. Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and honor. He knew that whatever came next, he could not back down. Lyra had trusted him once, and now, an entire tribe depended on him. He glanced back toward the horizon, the storm cloud still rolling in, and felt the first stirrings of determination. He didn't know what awaited him on Tyrus, but he knew one thing. He would not fail Lyra, and he would not abandon the trust placed in him by the daughters of Tyrus. Whatever challenges awaited, he would face them with the courage he had used to save a single girl, and now perhaps an entire people. Ethan followed Vashara and the other women through a narrow canyon, the walls of jagged rock rising high above them. The light of Tirisfur's twin moons reflected off the mineral-rich cliffs, casting strange shadows that danced as they walked. The air smelled faintly metallic, mixed with the sweet scent of unknown flora. Every step he took reminded him that he was far from home, and yet a strange sense of purpose filled him. He had saved Lyra, but now he was being drawn into something far larger than himself. The canyon opened up to reveal a hidden settlement, built within the cliffs. Houses and structures were carved directly from the rock, with glowing crystals embedded in the walls. Soft light pulsed from these crystals, illuminating the paths and platforms that connected each level. Ethan marveled at the architecture. It was advanced but also deeply connected to the natural environment. There were no metal beams or artificial lights, yet everything seemed functional, even sophisticated. The women guided him carefully, their movements precise and confident. Lyra ran ahead, her glow lighting up the path. When she saw Ethan, she stopped and threw herself into his arms. "You came," she whispered, her voice soft but relieved. Ethan hugged her tightly, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on him more heavily than ever. "Of course I came," he said. "I wouldn't leave you alone." Bashara cleared her throat, her tone commanding but not unkind. "He is ours now," she said, addressing the gathered women. "The prophecy has begun. The starbound guardian walks among us. He saved the air, and for that our loyalty is his." Ethan looked around at the tribe, seeing the mix of respect and suspicion in their eyes. They were formidable, strong, and clearly capable of defending themselves. But he realized that their strength came not just from physical ability. It was in their unity, their trust in each other, and their belief in their culture. He was an outsider, yet they expected him to integrate, to understand their ways and to protect them. Days passed as Ethan learned more about the daughters of Tyrus. Their society was matriarchal, with each woman trained in combat, strategy, and survival from a young age. They valued honor, loyalty, and courage above all else. Ethan discovered that Lyra, though young, was already highly trained in basic defense and had a sharp mind. She studied him curiously, learning quickly from his actions, and their bond deepened with every passing day. One morning, while Ethan was examining a mineral sample, Bashara approached him with a serious expression. "We have received word that the marauders approach," she said. "They seek the air and the starbound guardian. They wish to destroy us," Ethan frowned. "Marauders?" He had assumed that the planet was mostly uninhabited except for predators. "How many?" he asked. "Too many to fight with swords alone," Bashara replied. "They have weapons unlike any we have seen. But with your knowledge, perhaps we can turn the tide." He nodded, feeling the familiar surge of determination. He wasn't a soldier, but he had experience with technology, improvisation, and strategy. He spent the next hours teaching the women how to use the crystals in their environment to create defensive structures, trip traps, and energy barriers. He showed them how to combine their traditional weapons with these enhancements, increasing their effectiveness without destroying their culture. When the marauders arrived, the daughters of Tyrus were ready. Ethan stood alongside them, helping to coordinate their defenses. The attackers were fierce, using strange energy weapons and mechanical beasts to breach the canyon. But Ethan's strategies, combined with the women's skill and agility, turned the battle. They fought tirelessly, moving as one, striking hard at weak points and protecting Lyra at all costs. During the fight, Ethan found himself face to face with one of the marauder leaders. The figure lunged at him, but Ethan dodged, using his environment to his advantage. He triggered a crystal trap, sending a wave of blinding light and energy toward the marauder. The enemy recoiled, and the daughters seized the opportunity to push them back. By the time the sun rose, the marauders had been driven away, retreating into the barren plains from which they had come. The daughters cheered, their energy renewed by victory. Lyra ran to Ethan, wrapping her small arms around him. "You saved us," she said, her glow bright and steady now, a sign of her relief and joy. Ethan smiled, exhausted but proud. "We saved each other," he said. Bashara approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You have done what even our strongest could not. You honor us, human. The princess lives and our home stands because of you." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. You all are incredible. I just helped." Bashara's eyes softened. "Perhaps, but it is our destiny to recognize the starbound guardian. You were chosen not just for skill, but for heart. That is why you are bound to us." The weeks that followed were filled with rebuilding and training. Ethan helped reinforce the canyon settlement, teaching the women how to combine technology and their natural environment for better protection. He worked closely with Lyra, who soaked up knowledge like a sponge, curious and intelligent. She was playful at times, imitating his movements, humming his songs, and sharing small gestures of affection. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest he had never known before, a connection deeper than friendship, a bond formed through trust, respect, and shared danger. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the cliffs, Ethan sat on a ledge overlooking the canyon. Lyra sat beside him, her glow reflecting softly in the crystals embedded in the rock. "You will stay?" she asked quietly. Ethan looked at her, thinking of home, of Earth, of all the things he had left behind. But he also thought of the daughters of Tyrus, their courage and the trust they had placed in him. "I think—" "Yes," he said. "I will stay." I will protect you and I will learn from you. This is my place now too. Lyra smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. Then we are safe, she whispered. Bashara joined them, her presence calm and steady. You are part of us now, human. The prophecy has begun. Together, we will face whatever comes next. The days turned into weeks, and Ethan settled into life with the daughters of Tyrus. He learned their language, their customs, and their ways of survival. He trained alongside them not just in combat but in leadership and strategy. He taught them about Earth, about humans, and about the knowledge he had gained through years of exploration. In return, they taught him about Tyrusfur, its secrets, and the power of unity and trust. One day, a scout returned with urgent news. A larger threat loomed on the horizon, a warlord who sought to control the entire region and eliminate the daughters of Tyrus once and for all. Ethan knew that this battle would be the greatest challenge they had faced. He worked with Bashara to prepare defenses, train the warriors, and fortify the settlement. Every strategy he devised was tested against simulations, every weakness reinforced. When the warlord arrived with a small fleet of flying machines and armed troops, the daughters of Tyrus were ready. Ethan led them with calm determination, coordinating their attacks, setting traps, and guiding the warriors with precision. Lyra fought alongside him, her glow bright and steady, her small frame moving with grace and agility. The battle raged for hours, but in the end, the daughters' unity, skill, and Ethan's ingenuity prevailed. The warlord retreated, defeated but alive, a warning that Tyrusfur was no place for conquest. After the battle, Ethan stood on the highest ledge of the canyon, looking down at the settlement below. The women cheered, repaired their homes, and celebrated their victory. But Ethan's mind was on Lyra. She approached him, her eyes shining with trust and gratitude. You saved us again, she said softly. Ethan smiled. We saved each other, he replied. Bashara came forward, placing her hand on Ethan's shoulder. You have become more than a protector, human. You are part of our family, part of our people. The starbound guardian walks with us, and together, we will face the future. As the twin moons rose high in the sky, casting silver light across the canyon, Ethan realized that his journey had changed him forever. He had come to Tyrusfur for minerals and exploration, but he had found something far greater: purpose, friendship, loyalty, and a bond that transcended worlds. He looked at Lyra, the daughters of Tyrus, and the glowing crystals around him, and he understood that he was home, not on Earth, but here among people who needed him, trusted him, and believed in him. The red plains stretched out beyond the canyon, vast and untamed, but Ethan no longer feared them. With Lyra at his side, the daughters of Tyrus behind him, and the stars overhead, he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them, and together they would survive, thrive, and protect the legacy of a princess, a tribe, and a human who had dared to save a life and, in doing so, change the fate of a world forever.